Hey there, class. This is my informational interview. My name is Kenneth May, and I'm currently studying business administration, and I want to pursue a career in real estate sales or at least be managing different real estate projects later in life. With me, I have my father, who I'm going to be interviewing pertaining to his current job in this field. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Ken May. I am a real estate broker.
All right. So can you tell me what are some of the daily activities relating to this job and how does it affect you?
Well, first we have to go over what my daily job is. And as a real estate broker, I either wear the hat of a realtor, and in my personal line of work, I also do a lot of real estate development and, for lack of better words, flipping, house flipping. So in the daily line of things, depending on which hat I'm wearing, as a realtor, I have to check up on all of the deals that I have in escrow at the time that we're working on. And there's a lot of paperwork that goes with every file, and you have to do inspections. You have to communicate really well with your client as well as the either the listing side or the buy side, depending on what you are, but the other side of the transaction. You have your transaction coordinators. You have your sales managers who don't really come into play very often, but occasionally I'll have to ask them questions or relay information to them. If I'm wearing the house flipping hat, then I have to look for properties that are good prospects. I have to identify those properties. I have to see what their future values are. I have to go visit the property to make sure that it's something that we're going to want, and to see how much work needs to be done on each project, so you can do all the math to make sure it's going to be profitable. And if I'm doing the development, a lot of times I'm on projects, seeing where they are in the time frame to completion, and following up with the builders, the contractors, the designers, or a lot of times it's me designing the houses as well. So you spend a lot of time online looking at different design aspects, but it just depends on which hat I'm wearing for the day.
Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of different daily activities, and it just depends on what is needing to be done at that certain time.
Correct.
So how did you obtain this job, and what did you do before you had this job?
Well, to obtain a real estate broker's license, or just a real estate license in general, you have to go through, there's several steps, but the first thing you would do is go take your classes that are needed. And it's not a very long class. It's roughly 2 to 3 weeks that you can be finished in. They give you up to 6 months, I believe, but you can be done very quickly. And then you would schedule yourself for the state license exam, and that might take a few months out. So during that few months of waiting for the testing date, you're going to be studying quite a bit to make sure you pass. The test is based on 50 different aspects of real estate, and even though I may only use 2 or 3 of those aspects, you have to know a little bit about each one of them. For example, I'm not an appraiser, but on the test there will be lots of questions that pertain to appraisal industry.
All right. And what did you do before?
Before I was in real estate, I was a mortgage broker before I became a realtor and this development flipper. I was as a mortgage broker for 5-6 years, and before that, I was a bellman at the Hotel Del Coronado.
All right. So you did have a pretty decent history with what you're doing now as a mortgage broker, firstly.
The mortgage broker definitely helps. It's in the same line of work, so it definitely helps with what I'm doing today, because I can fall back on the loan knowledge that I had to help make better informed decisions for my clients, for myself. When we're doing the development, it all comes into play. And before that, I was a Hotel Del bellman, and even that can relate, because in real estate, you must be good with people, and you must be able to build relationships quickly and gain people's trust, and being a bellman is very similar in that you have to build relationships quickly. You're explaining the property, you're telling them where to go to have a good time, and you have to just build up a rapport in the 3 or 4 minutes that you meet with someone. So it does pertain. It's all customer service related.
All right. So what type of training do you think that somebody will need to obtain this job, and what was your starting salary or your starting earnings when you started this position?
So the training that you need is like we already discussed. You need to go get your license, and that's the very first step, is going through the classes and getting the license. However, that's just going to get you the license. That doesn't make you a great realtor all of a sudden. There are thousands of realtors in San Diego, and I would bet the top 5% of all licensed people do 95% of the work in San Diego. So to get to the top of the to the top of the heap, the cream of the crop, you need to have some experience with this, and you need to get out there, and you need to start spreading your name around. You need to become a perceived leader in the industry, even though you're not quite there yet. I would almost recommend you work with a seasoned veteran and learn from them directly. Bring your own deals to the table and let them help you with those first few deals to make sure that you are doing it correctly and thinking of everything that can come up and learning from that person, because real estate is not easy. It appears to many people that it's very easy and that people make a lot of money, which can be true, but you have to get to that point. You have to really work to get to that point. I tell new agents that they probably won't make $1 for the first 6 months, maybe even longer. So you need to really have your savings in line. You need to know what you need to survive for that 6 to 9 months, because you may not make 1 penny until you've got some deals going on. Real estate is 100% commission based in the realtor or developer or house flipper model. If the company's not making money, and you are the company, but if the company's not making money, then you as a realtor can't make money. If I'm doing house flipping and we lose money on a flip, then it's not like you get paid to lose money. So you really have to know ahead of time that it's going to take hard work to get to the level where, yes, you are doing well in real estate.
Okay. So like you said, sounds like you might not even be making those earnings in the very early beginning. It might take quite a few months, it seems like.
Absolutely.
Okay. Next question I would have what would you say to someone trying to enter this field, and is there a demand or a need for this type of work? I know you already touched up on 95% of the people in real estate aren't doing what the 5% are. The top 5% are doing most of the deals. But what would you say to someone trying to enter this field, and do you personally think that there's going to be a need and a demand for this type of work in the future?
Yeah, so the industry, what would I say to somebody coming into the industry? You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to learn the ropes. You're going to start at the bottom. You may need to work under someone who is more seasoned. You may need to work with people who aren't qualified, and you're going to go out and show houses to people that probably can't buy the house, but at least you're gaining the experience of seeing the houses and hearing what people say about the houses, and you're walking through houses and you're getting feedback, and maybe you're calling a lender and speaking to their lender about will they qualify. And so that's all experience. You won't get paid for it, but it's experience. And then one day that person will end up buying a house and they will qualify, and they'll remember that you had helped them out. So always be kind and helpful to everyone you meet, because you just never know who's going to be your first client or your 100th client or your repeat client. So that's one thing.
What you're saying is basically you should try to go out and get as much real world experience and knowledge as you can.
Correct.
So that you can start to build a repertoire for yourself.
Right.
All right. And you think that there's going to be a demand in the future?
So that's thank you. The demand for the future it's actually kind of scary. There's a lot of companies out there. Let me back up. In the past, you had to have a realtor. You had to have someone in real estate to help you purchase a home. There was no shortcut around it. And back in the day, realtors had to really earn their paycheck. There was no internet. There was, even before fax machines, they had to drive around to look at these properties. There were no photos online. There were, when you wanted to submit an offer, you had to type that offer up. You had to drive to your client's house and have them sign it. You had to then drive to the other office that was representing the home and present it in person to the other agent. Nowadays, everything's online. Everything is emailed, and sometimes you don't even see the other side. You don't even deal with the escrow company or the appraiser. It's all phone calls, text, and emails. It's changed quite a bit, which leads me to the demand for the future. You have companies like Zillow and Realtor.com who are now not only supplying listings online for people to search, but they're also becoming real estate brokers themselves and offering very heavy incentives for a buyer, a client, to use their services. So they may offer a large cashback if you use their services because they're paying their realtors very little money and they're collecting the full commission. So it's a very scary proposition. There's so many new websites out there that are trying to take away the realtor. So it is a concern that the real estate industry may be completely different in the next 5 to 10 years. When 20 years ago, there were travel agents who would give you, tickets to places, and you would go to a travel agent and they would schedule your whole vacation. Those are gone now. What happened was Travelocity came along and they started making it so easy for people to book their own trips, and the internet allowed people to book their own trips. And now very, very few travel agents are still around. There are some, but very, very few. They used to be at every mall, every strip mall, you could find a travel agent. You would know people who were travel agents on their own. Those people are gone because the internet came along and changed the way we all travel. And that's similar for real estate. So you always have to be ahead of the game. And that's why I'm not just a real estate agent. I'm a broker, I'm a developer, and I'm a flipper.
All right, sounds good. So it sounds like it could be somewhat scary for the future, but it sounds like you also have different streams that you could dive into if that was the case. But along with a lot of other jobs, things are becoming automated, and so a lot of people are going to lose their jobs because of that. But in a lot of fields, I'm saying. Let's see, the next question would be, what type of person do you think would be required for this job? Like a people's person, somebody who's very introverted, extroverted, etc. And why would this career path be a good choice for those type of people?
Yeah, 100% you need to be an extrovert. You need to be very good with people. You need to communicate well, and you need to be outgoing. If you are anything but those, you're not going to be very successful. We have to deal with the clients. We have to make them feel like we're listening to them and build that relationship, build it solidly and quickly. And if you are not able to reach out and talk to people, then you're not going to have many clients that are going to want to deal with you. The second thing is you have to be able to work with the other agent on the other side. So if I'm representing the buyer and someone else is representing the seller, we have to be able to communicate. We have to get along. We have to be able to massage this transaction to protect our client's interest, yet bring two parties to the table and have them meet in the middle somewhere. And if you can't be a people person and negotiate the hurdles that come along the way, and if you're not outgoing, people aren't just going to shut down, or they're not going to want to work with you. So yeah, you need to be a very good communicator, a very good customer service oriented, And you need to have those tools in your toolbox that are going to help you be successful, not just with your one client, but with everyone across the spectrum of the transaction.
All right. Sounds good. So that made it pretty clear cut. You have to be very outgoing and be able to talk to people to be successful in this line of work. All right. So for the last question, I would like to ask you, what do you like? Like, what is the best thing about your job? And what are some of the cons about your job? Some of the best things that you like and some of the worst things you like.
Yeah, so real estate is a fantastic, fantastic career when you are successful and when you are able to reach that level. Some of the best things I like is that I wear flip-flops, shorts, and T-shirts most days. I can work anywhere in the world as long as I have my cell phone and a computer, I guess. I can choose when I'm going to work and how much I'm going to work. If I'm feeling up to it, I could have 10 deals going. If I'm getting a little bit worn out on that, I might change my hat and just go be the developer for a couple years and not have to run around chasing clients all the time. My job allows me the freedom to do whatever I want, and let's face it, I make a really good living doing this. So I don't have to answer to anyone. I have a team that works with me that I kind of tell them what to do. So I have a transaction coordinator who's my assistant, and when I need her to help me with writing an offer, she'll do it. And she handles all of my paperwork inside that file. So she would be my employee, if you will. She's not an employee of mine. She's an independent contractor, but I lean on her as if she was. And that gives me even more freedom to go about doing fun stuff. If I want to go to a movie in the afternoon, I'm going to a movie or a ball game. And you can't do that on a lot of jobs. But the biggest thing is being able to call your own shots here. I get to wake up every morning and decide if I'm going to work 12 hours that day or if I'm going to work 4 hours that day. And the more you work, the more successful you are, and I know that. So that's my choice as well, and that's another thing that I just love about real estate. The cons of real estate are that it's 100% commission. So you could work with one client for 6 months, and they could finally decide they're not going to buy. So you've wasted all of that time. Sometimes you're in an escrow, you're in a transaction, someone else is buying a house. Let's pretend like you're the listing agent and someone's in escrow, they're buying the house, everything's going well, they have a home inspection, and suddenly the roof is bad, or the windows are bad, and they want to do what's called a request for repairs. You have to go to your client, or if you are the owner as a developer, and they say your roof is bad, now you have to make that decision or give the seller that bad news that, hey, they might back out of this house because the roof is bad or because the windows are bad. Do you want to fix that? Do you want to spend the money to fix that so that they'll go through with the transaction or not? And so there's a lot of hurdles in every transaction, and you really have to nurture the relationships and massage the file to get it through. And so that might mean you're crediting for a roof, or you're putting a new roof on. And that's kind of the cost of doing business when you make a sale. But those are bad things. Like, you just don't like that extra pressure. You just like when everything goes smoothly. So there are hurdles, and there are times when I might get a call at 8 o'clock at night with some sort of emergency on a file, and I have to drop what I'm doing and do it. I can't just watch a movie the rest of the night because people are depending on you. And so when you are in a transaction, you need to really make sure that you're available to your clients, and that's not always great for personal life.
All right, sounds great. Well, I wanted to thank you a lot for answering some of these questions, and I definitely think that you answered extensively, and I got everything that I needed to from that. And I just wanted to say that I found a lot of these aspects of your job pretty appealing. A lot of the negatives that you said obviously would be pretty annoying, but it seems like the pros definitely outweigh the cons for sure. Some of the things that surprised me probably would have been that you said that you could choose to work, 4 hours or 12 hours a day, and it's just completely up to you. A lot of people don't have the option to do that, so that was definitely surprising to me. Going into the interview, I felt like I was going to know a lot of the things that you were going to say, but after interviewing you, I feel as though you shed new light on a lot of things. And I found this assignment to be valuable for sure because it shed light on what I'm trying to do in life and what my dad does as well. So I definitely thought that this assignment was valuable. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you later.